called Terri. I'm the curator for the University of Canterbury Teece Museum, and we're here today to tell you about our audio descriptions project that we've been running for the last few years. So we're writing audio descriptions to introduce our blind and low vision community to objects in the collection. The collection is mainly Greek and Roman antiquities that we use in teaching and learning at the university, but we also open the museum to the public 5 days a week. The project was not only about reaching out to a diverse community for us, but also about making sure that it was a learning experience for the students who got involved in the process. And the whole project, fittingly enough, started when we had 2 students attend a workshop at the physics room learning about audio descriptions, and they came back so enthusiastic we decided that we really had to give this a go. Our project's pretty low tech, but we think there's been some interesting outcomes from it. So first of all, we're going to introduce you to Kerby, who's going to talk about the student experience being involved in writing audio descriptions. Take it away.
Kia ora. So I'm one of many students, actually probably about 6 of us, who are writing these descriptions, and I think all of us but one potentially had previous experience with this kind of writing, so it's a brand new thing for all of us and for me, and so I really wanted to just address a few challenges that I faced along the way. The first thing that I want to say is that we know that it's going to be a recorded and listened to resource. So the first challenge was that fundamentally that would change my writing style. So you know that it's going to be recorded, therefore you need to have a certain tempo, and you know that your writing needs to be able to be recorded with elocution, because someone is going to be speaking this. Ultimately, it is going to be a listen to resource, so that really makes me think about the style of writing. So my wording choices need to be really carefully thought out, and it really taps into your creativity. Very much so. It's really challenging also to know when to avoid academic terminology and when it's appropriate to do so, and what kind of language is actually more accessible. The other thing is that our works in our collection are actually static, so they don't move and they don't smell, they don't have sound, so we are limited in describing something that is still visual. And it's especially when that is sitting behind a glass case. So for me, that was really an important approach to my writing, how my writing would differ between works, between my normal writing style, and how we can convey that within the exhibition that we have. So those were a few challenges amongst many, and I just want to say that it has been a really challenging but great experience to be able to get this resource out there for people.
Fantastic. So once our students had chosen their artefacts, researched them and written their descriptions, we would hand over the text to Naomi Broek, who's going to tell you about her role.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Naomi Broek tōku ingoa. So I work here at the UC site at the Art Centre of Christchurch, and I manage the campus, but I also have a background in performing arts and voiceover work. So initially I came on board to give the students some tips. Our initial 2 students were really keen to also record the works that they had written. However, having neither of them had experience recording for this kind of work or for any kind of work, I think they were quite shocked at how difficult that can be. So we were sort of working through the process to give them some tips and tricks, and then we went into lockdown in March 2020. So at that point, it was a great project to be able to do with a bunch of us working from home, and I happened to have a studio at home, which I guess is not everybody has a studio at home, so Terri asked me if I would mind doing some of the recording work, and I was really thrilled and delighted to be involved. As Izzy's outlined, the 2 biggest challenges, and I think the 2 things that the students learned and adapted to so quickly were avoiding academic writing, so making sure that the writing is accessible for a general audience, that you're not relying on assumed knowledge or given too much context, that it's really a description of the object itself. And secondly, it was writing for someone who's reading and then someone who's listening to that being read. So that can be quite different. That can be really different than writing for read text, where you can look at a paragraph, you can assess the paragraph as a whole, and all of the ideas contained within that can feed into each other. With writing for reading out loud and for listening to, you need to be able, the ideas need to be sequential, and they need to be able to follow one from the other rather than sort of swim around in a big soup together. The thing I loved most about the project was the individual creative voices that came through. For instance, anytime I was recording a text that Izzy had written, I knew it was Izzy's writing because she had a very specific way of creating these beautiful visual images around some of the decorative elements and the objects. And that for me was a very special part of the project, seeing the individual voices of our describers develop.
Fantastic. So we now have over a dozen audio descriptions on our website, and anyone can visit the Teece Museum site and listen to those if you're interested. And we can also send you any information you'd like on the project that we've undertaken the last couple of years, if that would be of help. But just to wrap up, I thought it would be nice just to say if there was anything particularly that you enjoyed or found interesting, exciting about the project itself.
Yeah, the first thing would be being able to engage with the collection in more detail. And the second thing would be that knowing that you're writing something for a purpose and that is going to be really valuable for our audience, or for a different audience that maybe we don't always get. So it's a really important thing to have, and I think that it's something to be really proud of for them.
Nice. And you, Naomi?
I think the student involvement was really fantastic. Seeing the students develop new skills, being really enthused and excited and leading the project, and then, as Izzy said, creating something that's actually useful for the community. Fantastic.
And for me, I would say it was the fact that the project really has developed a community around us. Not only are we reaching out to the blind and low vision community, but we've also made connections with colleagues who are working in this area and developed our own skills internally, found out new skills that our staff members have that we can make the most of. So the community building aspect of it has been a really important thing for me. We hope that you've enjoyed that short presentation, and we look forward to sharing more of this project with you.